Hello everyone. Some sad story written by Bharat, aka myself. Dear PDF lovers, find the link in the description and have fun. Chapter 2 Colosseum or Classroom. There was no time to fix the hair, no uninhabited corner to go to with the unavailable time, no compact mirror for the task in question. The trio of time, space, and matter was against the idea of fixing her hair. Was it a sign that the universe preferred an ugly page? Maybe, but it wasn't the instant to read signs as much as it was necessary to look for alternatives. There it was! A slick substitute for a mirror was her phone's camera, which she would utilize if it wasn't for the fear of those creatures around. Those creatures, those kids, naughty and mischievous. If they caught sight of a teacher fixing her hair in a corner with a selfie camera and recorded it, which they would, she could say hello to the next viral video on YouTube and dig a grave in the same corner to commemorate her stupidity. Why attempt a risky act amidst kids who had a toxic pact to make everything viral with no standards and morals? She entered Aspen High School and glanced at the watch. All she saw were red circles. It wasn't a fault in the watch, but the eyes that watched the watch. Running a long distance without care for the deprived lungs, skin soaked with sweat glands output, and one's own existence, at a pace that makes one's hair bounce like a tennis ball, does lead to breathlessness, and in turn a pair of exhausted eyes that bring out red circles to maybe say "Stop!" Praying that nothing should happen to the laptop no matter what the time was or what the lungs wanted, she continued to sprint inside the school towards the left where several rooms sat in a row. She reached the office room situated right next to the principal's room. Paige could tell that with her eyes closed from the kids' nasty comments. A joyful set of remarks would indicate the playground was ahead. A vibe of desperation would point out the cheerleader's presence. Gossip centered on the principal would indicate her room was nearby. She went to the office room and opened the register labeled "Staff" in bold letters lying on a table. Her shivering hands did pose a threat to the pages, but she carefully and cautiously steered her fingers without tearing a single page and nervously wrote the date as well as her signature, that too in time. The day's salary was insured, but not peace. The struggle for peace was still in progress, and no progress appeared to have been made. In the same speed with which she sprinted to the office room, she darted to the opposite building and made her way to the staircase in the middle by piercing through crowds of children like an airplane piercing through a billow of clouds. With the same disregard for deprived lungs, sweat-smeared skin, and her own existence as before. Faster than a train, as rapid as a storm, she set foot on the first floor. That wasn't enough. The target of her turbulent chase was on the second floor. Invoking a similar pace, intensity, and the desire to burn calories as well as footwear, she rushed above with a particularly gingerly grip on her bag, which contained the laptop, which at any cost should not violently shake or wildly vibrate or accidentally fall or experience dramatic electronic discomfort. Slicing the air into two halves with blinding quickness, the second floor arrived at last, where Paige took a left, walked across a couple of rooms, and entered the third. Staff room, were the words plastered on the brown door that guarded a big enough room for 3 teachers, their tables and accessories, but too small to contain their ego. From munching lunch and exchanging tea to evaluating papers and staring at skyscrapers, the room catered to their duties. Paige couldn't contain her elation after seeing the 2 teachers seated inside. Friendship wasn't the underlying reason, not that friendship was absent. The presence of teachers in the staff room would signify it wasn't time yet for classes to start. Questions such as what if she were late to school? What if kids were desperately awaiting her arrival past the start of class? What if her punctuality fell into a pitfall, and so on were answered and she was overjoyed. Waving good morning to both, she sat on her chair. Regina and Sarah, teachers of English and biology respectively, wished back and smiled. Paige drank a goblet from her pool of relaxation, brought her breathless lungs back to control, wiped gallons of sweat, and then raised her head to discern the time. A minimum of 20 minutes were left. What in the world? Outrageous! I listened to Dad's usual blabbering for an unusual half-hour, then missed my usual bus and the usual window seat as a result, yet here I am pretty close to my usual schedule. I know Usain Bolt is proud of my running. She mentally awarded herself a trophy, big and golden with her name carved. Paige means pressure! Huh? What? She turned like a steering wheel after hearing her name. Paige, a little late today? She asked to tease her playfully. If her arrival well within time was what others called late, It would be checkmate if she came as always. Her punctuality was the pinnacle of her personality. "Oh, Regina, it's just I missed my bus, that's why." "Silly! I'm just pulling your leg and you're giving excuses." She tapped on her shoulder. "God, I came in running so scared of tardiness. My heart's still knocking my chest hard." "Chest, fest, whatever. You've made it in time, haven't you? First gather your breath and then drink some water. That's all." "I'd call it a miracle if my water bottle didn't fall off and still has any water in it. That brings me to the laptop. Is it alive? Is it dead? Please turn on. Please turn on. Do it for me, my dearly beloved. Yay, it's on!" She was half anxious and half frightened to even press the power key. What if she mashed the key and it got jammed out of life forever? What if she didn't try and could never deduce whether the laptop was alive or not? What if the owner of the laptop attempted the power key and the consequence of the outcome fell on Paige's head as a bombshell? There was no place for those woes because the laptop responded to the key and turned on. Seeing the device stay still for seconds and then work felt like her life departed and then returned by God's grace. She would not mind its state if it was hers. The laptop belonged to the school. She borrowed it for a presentation in the recently held conference. She hugged and adored the device like expressing affection to a child. "Paige, have you decided on a name?" "What name? For whom?" "For your child." "I don't have a child. I meant that laptop." She too hopped on board with Regina to tease Paige a little, and that made Paige wonder if everyone were on an agenda that day to make fun of her, starting with Dad in the morning. "Sarah, our principal is strict. The teachers know that as much as the students. I borrowed this laptop from her for the conference in Willowbury. If I don't return it in one piece, I'm screwed." "Oh, so that's what you're rejoicing for." "That's right. Came to school in time. Laptop safe and sound. A lucky page in the life of Paige." She laughed by rubbing and clapping her palms, and Sarah too took part in her jubilation. "You two peas in a pod have loads of fun. I better start now so I can end up in the opposite building in 10 minutes. Good day, teachers." Regina left the staff room minutes in advance for the planned trek to the other building. Paige and Sarah weren't two peas in a pod for being co-workers in a school. Their acquaintance wasn't a recently earned one. Their friendship went way back in the past for years, starting from the first day of college. Though separated by streams, the two shared not only a hostel room but also every single thing that happened in their lives, significant or otherwise. Paige knew how Sarah dropped her handkerchief in front of her crush but a cat took it away. Sarah knew about Paige drinking a glass of beer unaware. Paige was aware of Sarah's obsession over her married biotechnology professor. Sarah was well informed about Paige getting caught after sneaking into the boys' dorm to meet Steve. Both graduated together and got hired by the same school simultaneously. "About that conference, it was day before yesterday on Monday. Why didn't you come yesterday?" "The school staff messed up my ticket. I couldn't board the plane on Monday evening. Had to wait till yesterday. I didn't worry, I got you for substitution in my absence." "Yeah, that's our management. More like mismanagement. They push us around, but their arrangements are 404 not found." "Couldn't be more accurate. In the conference I went to last month, they enrolled my name as Kara and not Sarah, and the speaker kept calling me Kara from the stage while I sat clueless. When I complained why my name wasn't called, another teacher complained why her name was called. Realized she was Kara. Be glad there wasn't a third one named Hera. That's a palindrome. Sounds the same when read both ways." "Double right. Regina's English jokes are rubbing off on you. I wish they not only called me Kara but also gave me her last name. Haven't had a boyfriend ever. Kara's husband was 6 feet tall. Overall, the conference was as bad as a concussion." Laughed Paige uncontrollably, hearing Sarah's attraction to the 6-foot man. She noticed the folded newspaper pressed flat underneath Sarah's handbag. Her insatiable interest in reading the newspaper wasn't unknown to Paige, but it wasn't the news that Sarah read the paper for. "Sarah, do you know who always stays in the past, no matter how many years pass?" I don't know." "The answer is you." "Me? How?" "Because you're always behind the times, aren't you?" Paige had to return her share of joking and teasing after being drenched by a mockery-filled morning. Sarah had heard a dozen variations of jokes pertaining to her love for reading the Times. In her defense, "Hey, I'm not a boring girl who reads the news in the newspaper. Creative corner is my heaven." "Reading a new serial or an old one?" "The old one's rerun in the new paper. They're out of stories, I guess. By the way, why did you miss the bus today?" "I got a one-word answer for you. Dad." "I can't imagine it being that bad." That's because you don't know him like I do. I've come to your new house thrice. He got jokes, looks, and advice. He's the father I never had." She paused for a moment and Paige put her palm over hers to comfort her. Sarah came from a really poor background and grew up fatherless since day one, forcing her mother to sell off their only asset to send her to college. From Sarah's disadvantaged upbringing to her mother's unspoken sacrifices, who died 4 years ago from a heart attack, Paige knew everything, and therefore had made it clear that she could visit her place as and when she liked. She saw a hint of comfort in her face and resumed talking. "Jokes, advice, right! A vaccine has its limits. It can't keep puncturing down the skin. My dad's even worse. He goes straight for the bone. He never takes the hint and keeps going on and on." What was it today? The infamous inverted black flower? I wish it was the infamous inverted black flower. Hearing the same nonsense again at least prepares you well for the ear massacre. Today he adopted the rotten and cliched father leaving home to get milk and not returning. Poor me. Ah, poor you, said Sarah, and prepared to leave for class with a few glass bottles filled with a light brown murky fluid containing what looked like dead creatures. Lab practicals today? Yes, how do you know? From the bottles you're carrying, the topics for the day are Hydra and starfish? Insane, you identified precisely. These are familiar specimens. How many times have I ordered these for you, just remembering what I saw? Observant, gotta be careful around you. She pinched Paige's elbow with a little laugh. Come on, Sarah. It was you who taught me that biology specimens of all kinds, both dead and alive, can be bought from SBS, Specimens for Biological Studies, and they come in bottles filled with formaldehyde for preservation. Correct me if I'm wrong. Holy! I myself might forget all of this. I stand by my earlier words. Gotta be careful around you. Stop playing around. Sarah was slightly dazed. Focus and remembrance are for sure important for a teacher, and Paige's proclivity for high levels of intelligence was no mystery to her, but her memory of information so specific and particular, that too in a subject irrelevant to her expertise, came as a small shock. Still intelligent like in college, winked Sarah. Not at all. One who learns at first sight is a candle. One who learns from multiple attempts is charcoal. One who can't learn from a million attempts is concrete. I simply strive to be a candle. Candle? Concrete? I don't understand. Candle catches fire in an instant. Charcoal takes time. Concrete takes a lifetime. My dad likens quickness in learning to a burning candle. Awesome analogy. I've heard it somewhere too. Where else but my dad? Sarah would love to stay and offer garlands of praise to her friend. Sadly, class was calling and she left the staff room with her specimen bottles. Paige too followed suit by turning the laptop off and taking a handful of books to the feared destination, D-section. A fear in her heart, because D-section was the sanctuary of shenanigans, the heart of mischief that couldn't be managed. Teachers of that class required books and shields to make it out alive. Amidst the risk, there was also some relief. The most hilarious embarrassment could befall a teacher, and still those students wouldn't record the event with a phone and be a laughing spectator of the teacher-turned-laughingstock. 7-year-old third graders had that appreciable trait in their arsenal. She could hear some ear-deafening noise as she approached the classroom. It's all right if they shout, as long as they don't shoot slime from a spout, she consoled herself. Just 1 foot ahead would take her inside the classroom, but her fright hadn't subsided. What if they throw something and it hits me? What if they burst balloons and I trip to the floor and break something? What if they shout they lost a watch without nudging an inch? Without any loss in fear and her fearful whispers, she glued her eyes shut and swiftly guided her legs into the class. The closed pair of eyes saw nothing, while the open pair of ears heard nothing. Silence existed where noise ruled a moment ago. Was it even third grade D-section? What the? Kids hold this much immense respect for me to turn tight-lipped within a second in my presence? How did I not notice all these days? Let's send some appreciation in their direction. She murmured inside and slowly opened her eyes to greet the little goodies. The entire class was as quiet as a land devoid of the faintest breeze. The kids didn't raise an iota of noise, but their spellbound gaze was focused in a wholly different direction. They weren't looking at Paige. Turning her head in that direction towards the class window facing the corridor, she saw the principal doing her rounds. The truth behind the silence was clear. Kids capable of making noise on one side, the principal whose presence curbs noise on the other side, and a hopeful Paige in pursuit of peace in the middle. A glorious chance as the one before her could only manifest in meager occasions. Things couldn't be more favorable. Realizing that her hopeless pursuit of peace could be aided by the principal's coincidental presence on the same floor as third grade D section, she said to the kids, "Students, the principal has decided to be on rounds on this floor till our class concludes. Please maintain discipline and decorum and most importantly, silence." Disappointment crept up on the kids' faces. An unexplainable silence lived in their feeble voices. Liveliness frothed and bubbled in Paige's vision, which was afflicted with red circles not long ago. Invoking quick wit and enforcing sudden plans like that to manage third graders was her destiny. She then used her keen sense of recollection to deduce that the kids didn't wish her good morning. I'll let it go. Good morning is at the bottom of my list of blisters. They can even sleep, provided they don't make me weep. She once again consoled herself for their poor manners. After placing the books on the table, she sat down and took one of the deepest breaths possible, and thought how she started with a half-hour delay, missed the regular bus to school, sprinted to the office room with bouncing hair and breathless lungs like storming into a Taylor Swift concert, avoiding the judgmental gaze of teens and teachers, and signed the entry for the day's salary, carried the same momentum into climbing 1,000 stairs to finally reach the second-floor staff room, thereby listing the miracles of the day and feeling proud in the process. Not being able to afford to waste time taking pride, for reasons cheap or steep, she started the class with attendance. Adam, present! Albert, present! Alice, present! Alex, present! Alex, you've been marked absent yesterday. Where's the leave letter? I don't have one, teacher. You don't have one? Should I expect you to bring one tomorrow? A leave letter tomorrow for yesterday's leave? Will you eat tomorrow for yesterday's hunger? Teacher, What? I-U-V, huh? Why didn't you come to school yesterday? I did come yesterday. What a lie. Why did the teacher mark you absent then? I was absent the day before yesterday. I forgot to bring the leave letter for that yesterday, and so teacher marked me absent yesterday. That means you didn't bring the leave letter yesterday and today, right? Tell me why you were absent on Monday. Teacher, why were you absent yesterday? She adorably asked, and Paige lost the energy to carry the conversation. Adorable one, will you please go to your seat and not say another word? She sent Alex back without knowing what to do, and was willing to escort her to the chair if she was unwilling. It was a class where even attendance was a rage-racing ordeal. The pattern of words reminded Paige of her father, the speech he gave that morning about problems. To be honest, anything annoying was a reminder of Gary to her five senses. But it also came off strange to Paige that Sarah would mark a kid absent for not bringing a letter. She wiped the sweat on her forehead and continued. Amelia, present! Bailey, present! Barrett, present! Teacher? A kid interrupted her attendance session and stood near her. Brandon? I didn't call your name. Yes, you didn't, teacher. What is the matter? I came to submit this, my leave letter. You were present yesterday. What's the leave letter for? I'm taking leave tomorrow. The leave letter is for that. God, leave me alone! She slammed the pen on the attendance register angrily before abruptly shutting it, and then got off the chair to begin the day's topic. Her eyes wouldn't let go of the pending attendance, because if there was anything at all possible in that coliseum of a classroom, it was attendance. Though her inner voice yelled that it was an embarrassment to fail a task as menial as that, the leave letter incident coaxed her mind to abstain from taking the roll call for another century. Class ensued. Students, can anyone tell what we're going to study? We don't know, teacher! A loud roar out of nowhere. Okay, can anyone say what we studied yesterday? We don't remember, teacher! The roar got louder. Don't know what we studied, don't know what we're going to study, but if I suggest skipping the class, you'll shout ready! Yes, teacher, yes, we're ready! The roar was swelling up with each passing second, and it rocked the place like thunder and lightning in unison. What could anyone do against little 7-year-olds? Take their silliness seriously and preach the distinction between bad and good? Adoring those children's playful antics was where true maturity stood. However, Paige had the right to be irritated for spilling and spelling out things that fell in dead ears. In this war between wanting to study and wishing to skip, I'll go mad, swallow a clip, accidentally trip, and break my hip. Which one of you has the answer for yesterday's homework? Silence. Silence. Just silence, truly cozy and beneficial to the ears. The class of kids that growled like an angered bear for no reason went silent after the mention of a question. It was as if she flipped a switch and turned the kind of loudness that could terrorize the heavens to a kind of silence that could scare darkness itself. One girl raised her hand. Charmy, would you like to answer? Teacher, I know the answer she's about to say, said Han. Okay, go ahead. We forgot the question! The class voiced its opinion together with its characteristic uproar. That was the innovative answer they all claimed to know. Ashamed to answer a question wrong, but forgetting the question itself was the fame of third grade D-section. Shining a serpent's teeth seemed easier than teaching them. It's alright, I will repeat the question. Can you children answer? Yes, teacher! They promised with confidence. Paige was no fool to trust their sweet words, but thought of extending a chance anyway. There is a $10 bill which two people must share equally. How is that possible? Generally, a question in a classroom leads to a discussion among students for a short while. This class was a lot different. Skipping the discussion and debate, students straightaway raised their hands with answers ready for deployment. Moment of surprise for Paige. Forgot the question but ready with the answer? Good, good. Sean, you answer. Teacher, it's too easy. Let's tear the $10 bill into two. I'll keep one half, you keep the other. That wasn't unexpected. It was known to her that there would be silliness when kids showed willingness to answer. She couldn't be a math teacher if she weren't capable of such basic deductions. The funny thing was, she would never know if Sean answered for real or for fun. God save me! Tearing the dollar bill makes it useless for both. It's like breaking a vessel into two and trying to fill it with water. Useful for nobody. Teacher, teacher, I know the answer. Danny, please tell us. I'll keep the $10 one day. My friend can keep it the next day. Beautiful. What if your friend fools you and takes it away somewhere? I will not worry because we have you. I know you will find him and return the money. With pleasure. I'm ready to do anything and everything except stand here and teach math in front of your gang. Dear sleepyheads, the way to split a $10 bill equally is to give $10 to the person and receive $5 in return. Understood? Yes, teacher, yes! The yes you kids yell is beyond my brain. I can't fathom whether it means yes or no or maybe or saying yes is just your hobby. Please write the answer down. She instructed the kids, and when she turned around, there was Sarah standing in the corridor. Paige walked out of the class and asked, Sarah, what's the matter? Nothing. Missed a specimen in the staff room. Just came by to pick up and got mesmerized by the question and answer session. Can I help you with anything? Nah, just regular work. By the way, your question and its answer were clever. Do you know what's really a clever answer? Giving $10 and taking 5 back. Nope. Then? Kill the other person and take the $10 for yourself. Now that's clever. Paige, I did not expect this. Doing the unexpected is my style.